And let me go into my profile and just check it to see if people. Oh, there's our faces. There's a latency issue.
Right.
And you can also ignore that.
It's
but
normal.
yeah, I see the counter here that says there are people watching. Hey
Hi,
guys.
people.
Hey people. If you can see this, give us a like or a comment so I know this is working fine. I'm so sorry about this thing.
Oh, it's all right.
See, the thing is they can't see it.
It's better if I can't see myself.
Do you feel like that?
I have that thing where, yeah.
Is she your new girlfriend? Possibly. Hey JT, what's up? That's a guy I know, so we're just messing around with each other. Hey Kevin.
He knows that you're taken already.
Yeah.
He's just teasing me.
Yeah, pretty much. White girlfriend. On her way to go.
Oh boy, jumping right in.
Hey, I'm on. Okay, great. Hey guys, so just another episode of Whole Interview, and I have Danielle.
Hello, John.
Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. So you know what the rule is: be polite, ask questions if you want to, and yeah, chime in. Yeah. But today, Danielle is interesting. Like I've only met her maybe a few times. I always thought she's a DJ, and that's about it because I don't know enough. And we sat down like half an hour ago, and you're telling me you're a counselor. You used to study in psychology, so you're certified. How do you call it?
So I'm a clinical mental health counselor, licensed to practice in Oregon, in the States. So yeah, for the last like 10 years, that's kind of my foundation as a professional person is actually in therapy and counseling. So that was kind of my first deepest love of study and thinking about what I could give to the world, you know, based on just who I think I am, which keeps changing, and it's always fun to feel into and explore and experiment around, you know.
It's amazing here in Chiang Mai, like you meet someone and definitely fashionable, right? And hip looking, and then she tells you, yeah, I do, you know, psychology and counseling and all that kind of stuff. Finally, someone cute on interview. What do you mean? What do you mean with the with the previous people that I've interviewed? JT, watch what you're saying here.
This is your mate, right?
This is
JT.
There's going to be a bunch of mates here that's going to be
oh, good,
chiming in. Yeah. So, where originally are you from in the States?
From Salt Lake City, Utah.
Ah.
So yeah, so I'm a Utahn. We're called.
State of the Mormons.
State of the Mormons. It's a Mormon state of mind. Yeah, the Zion Curtain, we call it.
You know, I've actually been there.
Have you?
Yeah. So you know New Skin.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
So
it's a household name.
I just found out about this, by the way.
Okay.
But I am still doing New Skin stuff, and they have annual conferences.
Yeah.
So it's twice a year, once every 2 years, and I've been there 3 times.
Right, because you were in LA and stuff, so
yeah.
It's just a quick little.
No, this is when I was in Hong Kong, so we would fly all the way to the States to attend the conference, and for me, the first time in Salt Lake City was so weird.
Surreal, huh?
Because you have those temples.
Yeah.
And everyone's white.
Yeah, everyone's white. Yeah.
And there's
pretty much.
And super posh looking place.
Yeah.
Clean. Except when you go into the alleys at night.
Yeah.
Then something different seeps out from it. And you grow up there most of your life, or?
I did. Yeah. I actually did. I was there till I was about 26, 27, until that first the mythical Saturn cycle comes back to have to return my Saturn to the dealership, and my life changed a lot in that year, and so then I kind of left around like 27, and really decided, really kind of at that age, started to see what a bubble I was really in. Like I was lucky because as a kind of really gung-ho professional person, like my whole 20s was school and my career, I was really doing a lot of important work and working with the community that within Salt Lake that were more marginalized and had a lot less resources, and people and families that I, you know, with my bubble within the bubble was actually really sheltered from. So those beautiful people taught me so much and changed my life so much. And you know, I mean, obviously it was co-creation, like a therapeutic co-creation of, you know, what I was doing in my work in my 20s in Salt Lake. But at a certain point, I realized that I needed to like really actively push out of my life, so that I could grow as you know, myself, and maybe have more to offer later, based on actually just doing things that were uncomfortable for me, which at the time was thinking about doing anything other than being a therapist, because I was very identified as a therapist. And so there was a lot of uncomfortable years pushing out of my comfort zone.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah,
we're gonna get to that. So
I'm so glad I did.
Someone's watching from Petersburg, Seattle. Did you guys just met?
What up,
Hey, Mark.
Seattle?
So Mark is the CEO of the staff, actually. So you have the CEO watching. Hey, LA. I think the first question I do want to ask you is, where's the first place you went after? I mean, when you decided to come out from the bubble?
Alaska. Alaska was the first place I went, and I spent some winters up there. You know, I mean, when you're from Utah, you're a skier, right? So I ended up in Alaska and did some, you know, interesting work at lodges up there, skiing and bartending, things like that. Things you do when you live in a resort place, a remote resort place. And that was a lot of fun. And that's actually sort of what led me to Thailand. You know, there was like a big long Mexico trip and different things that me kind of trying to come out of that shell and explore the world. And then for the last 7 years, it's been a lot of, you know, running hard and fast everywhere I could get, and seeing how places feel, you know.
Right. But if we talk about culture shock between Salt Lake City to Alaska versus Salt Lake City to Thailand.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Like, what do you feel like here, being here? Like, since the first time, or all the times you've been here?
Well, I mean, it's every time what I always tell people, because you know, I started coming, my first trip to Thailand was literally me being so scared to go and do another season in dark winter of Alaska. You know, I was really, that I actually just felt into my heart and was like, well, what do you want to actually do? And it just, this Thailand thing just was like, you know, it's just like Thailand, you know. And so I found a cheap ticket and I just rerouted myself, and that was in 2013. And so,
was it a person, an event, an incident?
It was not, I literally didn't even know where. I'd gotten some tip about Koh Phangan, right, from a friend in Oregon. And so I found a really cheap ticket, which I couldn't believe that it was so cheap. And so I ended up showing up on, like, I think it was like March 5th, 2013 in Bangkok. Didn't know what was going on, where I was going. And ended up on this island that I heard was just really cool and kind of psychedelic, and, you know, just like maybe I could learn to meditate, maybe I could do some yoga. You know, it was just in that space where I had that kind of freedom and time, and so I always say every time I come to Thailand, it changes my life radically. And it's never not been the case every year. And every year I'm not sure, maybe I'll go somewhere else, maybe I'll do something different. And of course I have, but I just get that call. You know, and this year it all really made sense. Because I found myself here coming in from London again, like beginning of March, and of course this time it was like about, yeah, you stay here. Like it felt like I won the lottery, and I had so many people in my life saying, like, well, where's your life going? Where's this going? You know, you mean you're American, but you're always going to Thailand for months at a time, every year. Like, where's it going to go? And now it really all makes sense. So I've just been following my heart, and I have some beautiful relationships and connections here that bring me a lot of opportunities, just kind of on the stage, that on the level I want to be on the stage that I feel like I can grow the most, and I can bring something different to the people that might get to see or hear what I'm doing, you know.
For people who's just jumped in, this is Danielle. She's from Salt Lake City, and we just started the conversation of how she ended up in Thailand. Neuro-DJ, I would like to get it clear. What's that mean?
Yeah.
Sure, let's clarify that. And hello from Naples and St. John.
Sweet.
Naples, sorry.
Naples. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, Neuro. Well, I just named her that.
it's all jokes, right? It's all jokes. Well, I mean, I can speak to that. I mean, so sort of, I was taken in by a kind of learning and memory lab as somebody that was showing promise and of course interest in neuroscience during my undergrad. So by the time I finished my undergrad, I had an original piece of research that was published in the hippocampus and about spatial pattern completion and specific pathways and where our brains complete patterns and sort of the implications on that for things like drug addiction and recovery and stuff like that. So again, and that's kind of my therapist background was actually in neuroscience, and I decided not to go further on that track, but to just kind of do the more human thing, like learning about how to interact with kids and families particularly is what is kind of where my interest shifted. But now that I've been sort of working on a lot of music for the last I guess 5 years, and have started kind of being able to put all these pieces together. Now I DJ a lot with sort of a mind and a heart towards helping people fire and wire in cool ways, like through music and through sound and through my voice and the resonance in my voice and harmonies on my recorded stuff and just what music does. It takes you from the bass to the mids to the highs, and there's so much opportunity in there for alignment on, I think, cellular levels and within the brain, So yeah.
So how does this work? Like, as someone calls you a neuroscientist, now.
Which I am not. But
being a counselor trained in psychology, and you're definitely also very sensitive to music.
Yeah.
How does that work hand in hand when you're expressing yourself in this medium?
Well, so I'm trying to understand your question as best I can, so I can give you the best answer.
So let's say a DJ has their own like genre they prefer, or they have their own beats, right? And this is based on their experiences of like listening to all kinds of music. But you come in as someone who has a deeper understanding of like how the brain works, how the brain perceives different information.
Yeah.
And now that you have a medium of music to express that, I don't know, do you utilize it to say, I want people to feel this way because I understand these are the elements that I can affect or kind of make people more sensitive to it.
Right. I mean, and what you're really talking about, like if you're going to take it from a brain perspective, I mean, we have these pathways that motivate, that feel motivating, for us. I mean, a lot of the, you can get really technical about this, like it's saying, oh, it's all about dopamine, and you're going for dopamine release, or you want to fit yourself, you want to fit whatever you're doing in that pleasure pathway, so that people then are intrinsically motivated to continue to do whatever. And for me, I just want people to like sort of be put in a space where they feel kind of anchored and safe enough to expand and sort of explore it within themselves and within their body and their mind and their spirit. And I think music is just sort of one of the most transcendent things that can do that. So where we can communicate with each other and connect with each other and ourselves in a parallel process at the same time, and we all can get what we need. And it's all like, it's like brain food and heart food and movement stuff, and like we talk about like first language, like light and sound. You know, I always say like my handle is Key Era, and I always say it's a key era for us to align in color and attune in sound. I mean, these are really basic building blocks of us being in these, you know, very real three-dimensional bodies on a plane where we have sounds. I mean, we don't know if we even have that in space. We have sound because we have gravity here now, and we have you know, a color spectrum because we've got rain and we've got the sun, and we can see these fabrics. Sometimes we catch a glimpse of these things that transcend, and so that's really the juice, I think, of where we are. That's really where I want to be. That's what I want to share, and so things can hit people however they want, but you know, I mean, I guess as a starting place is I always tune in with how is this hitting me? You know, what do I feel when I hear like a deep bass and some beautiful vocals and some harmonic resonance and then some beautiful kind of higher end sounds together, and maybe I'm alone in my headphones or maybe I'm with other people. It's a beautiful thing, you know. These experiences we can create.
I have to say, I'm a music noob when it comes to conversations about tastes of, you know, music and all that. So
it's a very subjective realm.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what we're talking about either.
but for me, I believe there's an art in every topic.
Yeah.
And science is also an interesting aspect of it because you're trying to make sense out of something that could be vague.
Yeah.
In a logical, you know, in a logical way, right? Chris is saying music unites mankind.
Yeah.
Which is the next question I do want to ask, because of the cultural differences in your background and being in Thailand, do you find music can facilitate that when you communicate with local Thais here, or when you try to understand them? Yeah.
It has for me. And again, I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky actually to be like stationed in Chiang Mai and committed to this community just through my own decision and through my own understanding of how blessed I have been to land here in this time. But you know, I've been very lucky to have local friends, local Thai friends, and they've changed my life.
How do they change your life?
By helping me not be so just totally white all the time. Like, I still will always be that. I mean, that is me. But I'm, you know, I've been lucky that I've had friends who have taken interest in showing me deeper aspects of, like, you know, the local culture, the local language, little sayings, funny banters, you know, so that, and just exposure to going deeper with certain people that I connect with, even though we don't always share a lot of the same actual words. So it's made me feel a lot more comfortable and confident being playful with new people that, you know, that are not like me, you know, and I'm so humbled by this experience. Like I told you earlier, I was like, it's a really beautiful experience for me to have a minority experience in a place where I don't look like everybody else, and I don't operate like everybody else, and I know every day that there's things that I don't understand, and so I'm a grateful guest here, and I just want to continue to be as cool as possible, you know, with what's happening here.
I think it's interesting you mentioned, you know, you as yourself, because of your skin color in a foreign country, now your perspective is shifted from, you know, the typical, you know, white person living in America becoming minority.
Yeah.
But what is that feeling like?
Well, and I mean, and I'm not. I mean, I just mean having an experience that's probably one of the closest experiences that I will have that can approach maybe what that can feel like for other people in other places that, like, I will never be minority status because I have a lot of resources. I'm always going to have the privilege that I have because of how I look and where I come from. And the language I speak is, you know, and things like that. So it's nice to have an experience where I get to somewhat approach something like that.
We're going into a territory that's a little sensitive, but it's also something I like to explore because, and this is because of the history that I have in this platform and with my friends in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So
because you help educate me. Like I
no, not at all. Like it's just exchanging information.
Right.
But, I tease about my white friends in Hong Kong.
Okay.
With this minority positioning, yes.
Yeah, no,
but also
like
we call like the white privilege.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, we're learning a lot about this year.
Yes, very prevalent in Hong Kong. So I don't necessarily think the word minority means something that's underprivileged or anything. It just means you're in a space that you're not
technically.
Yeah, you're not the major denominator basically.
Yeah.
You're not the common folks, right? So you're just different. Yeah. But even so, right? Even being different can provoke this feeling of I'm outnumbered.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that feeling.
If you look at it that way, then yeah. I mean,
there is a psychological impact to it because I remember when I first got to the States, people would call me a fob.
Okay.
And I didn't know, and it was okay because it was like a little bit of teasing.
Yeah.
I still spoke English pretty well, but I don't understand the cultural aspect of what's that term means, you know, fresh off the boat.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was
fob.
like, okay.
Yeah, it's an Asian thing where
okay.
So I'm looking at it in reverse.
Yeah.
But the situation is definitely different because we're from a different background, different skin color, and all that. Now, when you're here, do you feel like you're treated with certain privileges?
Sure. I mean, yeah, a lot. Sure.
and
I mean,
no. And the reason why I want to explore this is also because I still understand how this is a sensitive thing.
Yeah.
In the States, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it should be, you know.
Is that Sharon Stone? I would be a very lucky person if I. Well, I'm equally
Sharon
lucky.
Stoned, probably more like it.
Right. But I'm trying to bring a little bit of what do you call it? I want to bring up the topic not because it's something I want to avoid talking about.
I mean, again, you know, I think again, it is sort of this inborn privilege that I have just based on where I come from, the resources that I will always have, you know, as a function of that, just within my own family, just net of being and whatever, that I can even be in another country having this, you know, experience of being different. Like that is still coming from that place. So it's just about then continuing to be really grateful and continuing to just be really open to learning and just trying to be as cool as I can.
What, like, I'm curious. So you definitely have friends back home and family.
Yeah.
And they probably haven't been to Thailand, or not that many people know about Thailand.
Yeah.
So when they ask you questions like, "Why are you there?" Like, why are you here?
Yeah, I mean, and then what I kind of just been saying to you is sort of always what I say to them as well. And because, you know, this life is a big experiment in seeing what vibes and where we fit and how far out of our comfort zone we can go. For me, every time I commit to doing that, you know, I feel like magic lines up for me in a way that doesn't when I want to stay safe. And I, you know, I'm a very kind of conscientious, anxious person sometimes. So a lot of times it's a very active practice for me to practice not staying safe and staying small, you know. I mean, and honestly, like, you know, there's other places that I've been that you know, like London. I mean, when I first went to London, I was so scared. I was so scared, even just more about just like being in like the city aspect than even just where people were from and what the deal was with all these different kinds of people. You know, it was more just like, I'm scared to actually be in a city with a you know, I mean, I've spent a lot of my time in the country, you know, like, so, I mean,
what makes you want to jump out from the bubble, it's the safety net? Why do you take risks?
I think because I think it definitely has to do with where I do come from. I mean, most of the people where I come from, there is a mindset that, you know, like the dominant culture and the dominant sort of religious culture where I'm from is kind of like, this is the promised land, this is the place, we stay here and we homestead here for generations. Like, it's very traditional, you know. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's, you know, and it works for so many, but just not for me, you know. And I think maybe just because I want to share music, I think, in art, it kind of means that I see myself as really needing to push myself more globally, because I don't know who's going to resonate with what I'm doing. And what I found is it's actually a lot more people that are different from me than people that are the same as me. And I don't really necessarily think that people who are similar to me are the ones that maybe need to hear what I'm saying. I don't know who they are, but I'm going to try to find out. I'm trying to figure it out by, you know, just doing all this stuff that's traditionally also been not a part of my landscape, like really understanding, okay, like, how do you do social media campaigns? How do you do, you know, I mean, how do you gain fans and followers, and what does that look like? And so as I've started to kind of, you know, have some EP releases of some of my upcoming music, and play some really special events, you know, just for the love of it, and to get exposure myself to that process. And I see the effect that my offerings have on certain specific people, and I think this is really cool. Yeah, this feels really fulfilling. Yeah.
And what do you think you have gained from all these risks that you've taken?
I'd like to think that I've gained an understanding of how to be a more flexible and more adaptable person who's able to connect with a lot of different kinds of people coming from different places, and I really value that. You know, I was at a like, I joke about this global citizen thing. I joke about this because, again, it's just part of the banter of, you know, me understanding how limited my experience is and always probably will be.
You have a long life to live.
But I have the life is long, and you know, I had an experience actually at Boom Festival in Portugal a couple of years back, the last one, and I had an experience that was really profound, where I looked around kind of on the Saturdays, kind of just that last set that is always, you know, really special, where everyone kind of comes together and in the music and in that place, and I looked around and I saw a lot of different crews of people that I know from doing different things and events and travel, and, you know, my time in Thailand and things like that. And I kind of realized that I knew a lot of people around in this big stage, you know, from stuff I've done in the UK, and stuff I've done in the States, and kind of my Burning Man community, and time spent in Berlin doing things there, and like different people from all these different places, and just thinking, wow, okay, I this is where I want to be. This is what I'm here for. You know, it's not really to be like a local girl, but to actually just be kind of like a global person, you know? So I'm working on it. It's nice to be stationed in Chiang Mai for the duration.
This is so far fascinating. Fascinating for me. Yes, and I picked up that word too, Yassine. So we're gonna go into Burning Man.
Yeah.
Just want to come up with the comments and follow up.
Yeah.
Just heard Cher talk about that. They were never accepted in USA, then went to Europe and exploded.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone is asking about your music and where they can find it.
So where you can find my music now is on, I mean, maybe we can get a Linktree link up, but my handle for my original productions and then some mixes and things that I'm putting out is Key Era. So 2 words, all caps with a space in between, KEYERA. And so I'm on SoundCloud, and I have some DJ mixes there, and my EPs. I have a whole year of EPs coming out this year and remixes. So stay tuned, or as I like to say, stay attuned. I'm on Spotify as well, under the same handle.
Yeah, seeing I can tell the type of music she's DJs. It's progressive house music. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean it's like it's down tempo, you know, sort of bass, but it's very like I'm calling it psychedelic. So, and that's just obviously because of who I am and my background. And I think it's important to have that kind of psych aspect just because I like the trippy kind of stuff. And then angelic just because I also really like the resonance of like voice and harmony. And so in the tracks that I curate and select, usually I'm kind of going for emotive things that kind of hit here and anchor lower, and then kind of help the head just tinker in whatever liminal place it wants. And so psychangelic is kind of like my hashtag in the sound design brief, and then like the global, you know, like my overarching kind of vision. And of course the visual aspect comes into that as well, just because I have also different experiences creating kind of textile stuff, you know, from sort of that lineage in the States of kind of the psychedelic tie-dye, sort of that kind of, you know, those kind of hippie roots, yeah. So
let's talk about hippie roots.
Yeah, let's talk about hippie roots.
So someone mentioned Burning Man. I think we should start there.
Right. Sure.
I've only know about it less than a year ago.
Oh, okay.
I think I've seen videos of it, but I didn't associate it with that event specifically. And then it came up again when I was talking to another friend of mine, and he told me how he had a great experience there. And so you obviously have been there.
Yeah.
What it's like, and for people who don't know what Burning Man is, how do you explain to them?
Well, Burning Man is like one of the most. It's probably one of the most creative places, like creative explosion places that you could place yourself on the planet for a week, you know, because I mean, basically the landscape is, I mean, and this is like my backyard stuff. So I'm from Utah, and Burning Man happens in this desert in Nevada that's like an old kind of a flat of an old, like very ancient sort of Lake Bonneville. And so it's just this very special kind of fine dust, and it's like perfect for crazy mutant vehicles and anything in your dreamscape that you could imagine. And if you have the money, or you can fundraise the money to actually make that a real thing that people can interact with, then that's Burning Man sort of experience. And so, you know, Burning Man is we'll see what happens to it. I mean, you know, as a teenager, it was like in Utah, I'd have friends go down, and it was very renegade at that time. And I remember hearing about it and thinking like, whoa. And then the more I started kind of getting into the underground, like electronic music scene and things like this, I realized like Burning Man is an experience I have to have. So it's kind of like an interactive like gathering. It's really like a art and music type of a thing, and it's really a community, a global community of people who are like-minded in terms of like coming together, participating together in this experience, adding to it, feeling very free in every moment, as long as you're also, you know, there's this thing about like self-reliance and responsibility for you know, keeping things clean that you interact with, leaving things better than you found them, you know. So it's very high level, you know, in some respects because of that, because you know it's a festival with 70,000-80,000 people where everybody will be on your case if you know, if you shed something off of your outfit, or you try to litter something, like it's like, you know. So it's a really interesting experience, you know, being way out in a desert, packing in all the things that you know that you need, because you can't buy anything. There's no money exchanges happening, and so you have to be on your top game, but also you're also pushing your own boundaries, because there's so much out there. Again, we talk about this dopamine, you know, motivation, and you're just in this land. It's just like lights flashing, good music everywhere, weird stuff and crazy things and cool people and wild, you know, it's just everything you can think of at every moment is happening there in that week.
Like, as a person who don't have direct, like, first-hand experience on it, what Danielle is describing is more like a set for a music video of crazy cars and people, and lights and music. Now, what's the discrepancy from how you know it and being like into one of those experiences?
Well, I mean, again, also it's another one of these experiences where, I mean, you're talking about, there's a lot of money in this event, and there's a lot of, you know, it's everybody that goes to Burning Man jokes that last year was better.
Yeah,
right.
I heard about that.
And you know, it's just eternally that's the way that it is, because it's and especially as it becomes more mainstream, and as it becomes more of something where people who have the means and the resources can go and get their, you know, their pictures taken and stuff, like, you know, like,
especially nowadays
again,
with social media.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, all this is kind of a bit like sort of pre-corona, because who knows the future of Burning Man now.
Is there going to be one?
I'm not privy to that. I mean, I think we have to wait and see what happens, but like every other festival and, you know, gathering and art and music thing, I mean, they need money. They have a staff. I mean, they need money to keep their staff, and once that falls apart, who knows how and when that rebuilds, you know. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so Chris is asking if you know DF Tram.
DF Tram.
Good friend, San Francisco originally, great sampler.
No, but I'll
Ames. Amazing
Don't
today.
know.
Hello, neuroscience DJ. You
Hello.
look amazing too.
Rainbow.
Ames is from Hong Kong.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
Friend of yours?
Well, we know each other from Periscope.
Oh, okay.
And she moved to Hong Kong from the States a
Cool.
few years ago.
How's it going?
Tell us about it.
Yeah.
Hong Kong is pretty shitty now.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Do you listen to Solomon?
Yeah, I do. I like Solomon. Yeah.
You have some music geeks here too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
For me, the conversation right now, because our differences in background, and I'm not familiar. I'm very not familiar with, you know, where you're from, and your experiences, and I'm curious to know more, but I know we have limited time. That's the thing about interview,
We'll have
right?
to do this again.
Yeah, I know, and then I'll have to jump into
blast.
another topic. Otherwise, we'll just go into this and talk for hours about it. Show music, great samples. Yes, that's my stuff.
Great.
I figured like Solomon, right?
Sweet. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And you also mentioned psychedelics.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What is your experience about it, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, I have a lot of experience with psychedelics, obviously. I mean, part of it is because of my, you know, like I said, the very real hippie roots that I have, and experiences in that vein. And also, you know, I had a year where I was assisting at in Peru at a retreat center of a friend. And you know, looking at ayahuasca sort of preparation and integration work. As a therapist too, you know, I one of my specialties is in like trauma, resolving trauma, and things like that. So a lot of the people who are coming, you know, to the jungle they know that, they've heard that, and they have traumatic experiences that they want to try to resolve and integrate in their life. So I have a lot of, I guess you'd call it at that level, like ethnogenic experience, you know, within that culture. And I've been lucky enough to have been in a ceremonial space had been in many ceremonial spaces for some years, and pretty radical stuff. So yeah,
Tell us about it.
I mean, you know, I was at a center that's like a Shipibo. It's a Shipibo in the Shipibo tradition. So it's like drinking ayahuasca, which of course is a native vine to Peru with a native leaf that allows, you know, together they are allowed to have an ethnogenic effect that you can feel and you can kind of see in your vision space, in your mind. You know, most people, not everybody, it's different for everybody, but so this, I mean, it's a very cleansing thing. And when I say ethnogenic, I mean, what I kind of mean is basically psychedelic has one kind of a connotation about like maybe you take a certain psychoactive substance and you start seeing things moving. You start seeing that the boundaries aren't as static as maybe you thought that they were, and that can happen visually, or that can be a feeling of just maybe more coming in, or the filter widening. But when you're sort of in that ethnogenic realm, when you're dealing with plant medicines like peyote, or, you know, San Pedro or Chima, like these cactus medicines, and then you know, ayahuasca, stuff like this, and you're looking at a plant that is like so intelligent that it can actually give you personalized, specific sort of visions for you, for your life, because and you know, you feel this when you do these ceremonies. You can feel this energy and this plant spirit kind of scanning you, like scanning, and sometimes, and being like, okay, you know, you're meeting each other, like how can I help you? How can you help me? So, you know, for a lot of people that start doing these kind of medicines, they really start to just understand, like, oh, I am a being in nature, and I'm a natural being, and oh, actually, I just, like, I need to connect with nature more, or I need to be a warrior for nature, or I need, you know, so a lot of times, you know, you can see a lot of people change very radically when they start doing these things. You know, for me, it all just led back full circle into like, okay, that's enough. And actually, my answers for me come from me and my core, and I have enough in myself to understand where I'm going. And, you know, so it was a nice age and stage for me to lead me back home to myself. You know, plants can only take us so far, substances can only take us so far, and they can take us as far as they can take us, but we have to go the rest of the way. You know, we ultimately, each one of us as individuals has to really do our own work of integrating emotions and experiences that have been difficult, and choosing to put on a different lens, or, you know, really help ourselves to look at life the way we actually want life to be, and the way we actually want to be in this world. So overall, it's an empowering experience for me, but yeah, it's a big can of worms, you know? It's a big can of worms.
It is. But do you think everyone should at least have one psychedelic experience?
Oh, I mean, no, I don't think anyone should do anything. I mean, I think a lot of people if somebody feels that way, then they should. But again, you know, it's always really important to set yourself up for success. You know, because it's tricky. These are trickster things, and you're talking about really powerful stuff that has very real interactions within your brain, and the one thing I've realized is you have to have a safe container, and you have to have a proper guide.
Yes.
You know?
I hear that often.
Yeah.
Setting.
Yeah.
And a proper guide.
Anything can go any way, you know? There's no guarantees. And also, no expectations. I've seen a lot of people expecting something that they thought they would get, and not being able to see then, not trusting what the intelligence is of the thing that they chose to help them. So people need to look at that, you know, and that was the best advice I got when I started on when I really started on that psychedelic journey was, you know, you're going to get what you need, maybe not what you expect, and really just actually don't expect anything, you know?
I'm curious. I'm definitely curious, but because I haven't tried it before, I'm always interested to learn other people's experience, why they do it, what are the circumstances, what do they take away from it, etc. You know? Let's scroll back to some comments here, since people are quite engaging today. How is electronic music like in Thailand? Is there any festivals with good vibes?
There are. I mean, you know, everything's in flux now with just in the corona world, but you know, we had we've got Wonder Fruit over here, and that's kind of a something that's been going on multi-year, and there's actually friends that put that on, and it's like the Burning Man of Asia, and it really,
is that happening this year as well?
It was, but I think maybe not anymore. Just, you know, safety first, you know, I mean, but it's a lovely crew, and it's a great vibe, beautiful aesthetic. And then I was involved in something for the last 4 years called Colors of Love, and that is it's kind of my crew in Thailand. It's really a global crew, but we kind of come together just focusing on helping people, you know, bringing our friends from around the world to Thailand, and then trying to also do things locally with the local communities that are fun and with really good electronic music. So you can find Colors of Love on SoundCloud as well, and there's some good mixes up from some of our events and things like that. And so that kind of group is focused on really good electronic, you know, underground deep house and techno music, but also with a more psychological focus of connection and collaboration and celebration, and everybody kind of activating our dreams together, sort of thinking about how do we individually and collectively want to color the world with our love. So a lot of event production the last 4 years of pre-corona, and nice collaborations in Asia with that. And Wonder Fruit was a good one. And there's another really cool thing starting up called Philia, and that's kind of Bangkok crew, really amazing music. They just did something in Pattaya, kind of their first flagship event. It was really fun.
Yeah, this is something you might know more than I do. What's the general vibe of the music scene, or the artists, the creatives of Thailand, of Thai people here?
I mean, I would probably want to get back to you on that now that you've asked me that in that way. I want to understand more myself about that. I mean, because for me, everything obviously that I find myself in just is very kind of just feels and resonates with the stuff that I like, and a lot of that is just literally what is the exact brand of sound and things that we all like to dance to together, you know. So it's just good sound system, music that really moves you to dance and just really get down. And
do you think there's a big spectrum of music tastes in terms of creatives doing their own music here, or is it geared towards a certain style because of influence from the West, or how Thai's artists just develop their own style? I don't know. I'm just asking this because I'm curious what the differences are.
I think, I mean, the Thai artists that I have had the pleasure of seeing and getting to know and hearing them. I mean, and there's some local ones in Chiang Mai, like Nakara and Sugar K, and I find a really amazing a techno vibe, and also a lot of, I mean, and up here there's a lot of drum and bass kind of sort of infiltration as well. So I noticed that really kind of nice. Feels like a nice cross pollination that at least some of the Thai DJs that I'm friends with are really pulling together, almost kind of a little bit Berlin sound, maybe a bit industrial, techno stuff, but trippy and
I'll
driving,
need to get you to recommend me trying out some.
Yes,
Thai artists' choices here.
Yeah.
I have zero knowledge of it.
Sugar K is one of my favorite local DJs. She's a really cool chick. Yeah, she's great, and she does really trippy techno that's it's kind of pretty psychedelic actually. So we'll see if we can post one of her sets.
We'll check it out.
Yeah.
I find Terrence McKenna fascinating. What's your take on that?
Of course. I mean, he's one of the granddaddies.
Do you enjoy listening to Blondish?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You guys,
you've got a great audience.
I'm telling
You've got a great audience.
I don't know what questions pop out when I do this, because there's a different person who would sit next to me and have, all sorts of conversation, and I start asking questions. Some I don't even like the names they mention. I'm like, oh, okay, let's ask about it.
So,
John, are you into dance music personally? If I'm heavily intoxicated, yes.
Great. But see, I'm actually so glad you said that, because again, like, this is a lot of what I end up being involved in certain groups of people that actually want to bring music to people in a way where the music can be more of the intoxicator than the intoxicants that make the music more attractive. Because we all of us grow up around, going to places actually that maybe the music isn't actually maybe you need to be more heavily intoxicated to like a lot of this EDM stuff, right. Like I find is so I don't know where it's coming from. I think the goals of it are different, or the aims are different, and I think one of the aims is they're more commercial aims, like people are getting intoxicated, like people are consuming a lot, and this is like consumer music. And for me, in the scenes that I like, it's like no, I want underground music, more minimal, maybe just stuff where I can allow my own intelligence to thrive in that space of being in movement and being in wonder of what's going to come next. What key's going to come next? What key change is going to happen now? What's going to drop now? And I never found that in like the mainstream kind of dance music culture of anywhere that I've been,
I mean, I'm from a background of conservative religious family. You know, in Hong Kong, we're not encouraged to express our opinions or feelings.
Yeah.
And when it comes to just like normal behavior, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's I think subconsciously restrictive to a point.
Very well put.
I need catalysts. Yeah. I need things to push me to just relax. That's just how I am, right?
I fully understand that.
Right. So when the question was posted at me, and I'm just being honest about it, because if I were to be in the crowd, let's say, and people are just like, very much in trance, or they're really enjoying the music,
expressing themselves, there's a lot of freedom.
I become super conscious.
Yeah,
and I'm super aware of things to a point that I'll just stand still, or I don't know what is the appropriate response of that.
Yeah.
So I rely on alcohol, or other substances. Not that I do a lot of it, but still, I find it really, really helpful to just kind of pull away that super conscious side of me, because I am.
Yep.
And it's quite enjoyable. I mean, it's not to a point that I get super drunk, or I'm just. I mean, yes, I have. Went overboard.
Well, but again, we're always experimenting.
Yeah, but it's interesting, because now, I mean, I've grown older. I've had more experiences. I'm more aware of, the options of things that I can choose in a safe way. Right. You need to let loose. Yeah. Tell me about that with 2 kids and a big project coming up. I really need to. Right. So
it's a practice. Like it's a, like life is full of all these practices, and it's like choose your own practice and choose your own combination of things that work for certain whatever. And it was the same for me. I mean, just because other people are around you and they're free and they're expressing themselves doesn't mean that it's any easier to do that even right near other people doing that. I mean, sometimes it makes it a lot harder, because you're like, am I doing this right? And like, what is this? Like, is this like, it just takes time. I mean, for me, it did. I have a very similar background as you, and And it takes a lot of just building trust within yourself and in that space of like, actually, I'm just gonna experiment with what my body wants to, how my body wants to respond with this. And if something doesn't feel right, maybe I push through it, maybe I don't.
Yeah.
You know,
Try to do it in a safe environment.
Yeah, always. but you know, my time in Thailand has taught me a lot about that. About it's been a very permission giving place of like for expression and feeling out different experiences. Yeah.
How safe do you feel like living in Thailand? Being in Thailand?
Pretty safe.
Yeah.
Pretty safe. I mean, I kind of feel safer than I do at home a lot. You know, I mean, I think the culture here is so. It's just there's a lot of mutual respect and. You know, there's just not a lot of crime. There's not a lot of like, you know, I worry more about driving on the highway in the States sometimes and the police there than I do, you know, like just because.
Even as a white person.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know. So I do. I mean, I always had that feeling kind of in the States, like, okay, I'm back in the States. Like, I might have some weird speeding ticket I don't know about that, like, you know, like, like it's just, you know, things escalate quickly in you know.
Yeah. The emotions of being pulled over in the States and here is
right.
Here is like.
I mean, you know, you have to be careful. Other things, other reasons here too, of course. But
here is like, oh, the cop is coming over. He probably wants to get some money from me.
Yeah,
that's about
I mean, you know, like.
Or tell me, you know, I did something wrong, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're pretty happy about here.
I am very happy here. I'm happier than I've been in a long time being here. It's just been incredible. I feel very blessed. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on some comments, can you tell us about Robot Heart and Burning Man? People are just obsessed about it.
Yeah, I mean, great sound system they have. It's kind of a New York, LA crew.
Yeah.
Then they get, you know, Blondish and all these like they have their special place, big special place at Burn. They're known for breaking artists that are underground and there's been a lot of seminal sets that have come out of, you know, like there's, you know, there's certain times in the week when it goes off around Man Burn and Temple Burn and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. Frankie Bones, legend. US and UK come together in the active parties, 88, 89.
Absolutely. Frankie Bones. Yep.
I need to look into this. This is
but
totally
you know,
out
I mean,
of
then
my...
this is the thing about house music is like house music is a very inclusive genre. I mean, that's what a lot of these samples are about, is just like, you know, we're inclusive. We want to get down. We want to move our body and, you know, and so and that's what it's about. So I find it to be a very inclusive genre. And, you know, we've been doing a night here called Why Not Wednesdays. It's like a house music night. Me and my kind of music crew that's here, and a lot of us are expats, but called Deep CNX, and that's really the vibe of like, you know, like house music night is that you're gonna get people from just that like that kind of music that you wouldn't be friends with otherwise, you wouldn't know about otherwise, and so that's kind of what like house music communities are, you know. And I mean, it's the same with Robot Heart, it's the same with all this stuff. It's just coming together in a certain kind of music and then just loving it, you know. Keeping it fresh.
My inspiration is black coffee also.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, super fresh.
Cool. Okay, so we have a few minutes left. If anyone wants to ask questions, feel free to go. Thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah,
I can feel the audience. They're great.
Can you tell me what? I mean, can you tell us what you feel about your first live stream? I don't know. Have you done any live stream interviews before?
No, and this is really great for me, and just thanks everyone out there. This is like really sweet because this is something as an artist, like I need to start doing more of this just to put out there, like, you know, content is queen now, and it's like I need to be going live more and sharing more what's on my mind and what's happening, what I'm doing. But it's a very resistant thing for me. I'm a xenial, so it's like I'm a very analog person, and this stuff it's it's a practice of feeling comfortable.
You're doing great with the responses on the Indiegogo.
Oh yeah,
because you're the person who writes.
Yeah,
those, right?
you like it.
No, I find it's very professional. It's very like
cool. I'm not the only one, but I'm one of the main ones.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you have an Instagram account? People are asking.
Yes.
I don't know if it's public.
Key _era _music. Yeah, yay! I'm happy to see you all out there.
So you can always give Daniel a follow.
Please. I mean, it's really the only thing that helps me because, you know, there's I'm not doing any of the things that my most important things that I'm doing for money, because it just doesn't exist in that industry unless, you know, unless and until some big magic thing happens. So right now it's like the things that really like keep my dopamine pathways going is like if somebody's like, you know, I go on Spotify and I'm like, oh my God, I got a new stream. This is great. Somebody heard my song. Awesome. You know, or, oh, this person's from here. This person's from here. Like,
is it the same as Spotify as well?
Like, yeah. So,
okay.
I mean, I can check and see. I know who's listening on SoundCloud. I know it, and I'm always sending love back. Like, I made it to a new ear.
I'm sure you're going to get more ears after this interview. First HAPS live stream or first live stream ever?
John is a Zenio. First, I did do a live stream with my Colors of Love group when I made Tie-Dye Live a few years ago. We were doing an event at Ministry of Sound, and in the lead up to that I did some color transmission, but that was years ago, and I've never done like an interview like this.
Well, we've had around 2,800 eyeballs so far.
Wow.
So
hello.
Those are the stats.
Low ball people.
I'm a senial. Yes, I am.
Yes, senial. The micro generation of world bridging and
the boomers
and
the
digital.
The millennials. The outcasts. The neglected. I've ever DJ'd in Tulum.
I did.
Oh.
Yeah, I did. My first gig as Key Era was in Tulum, actually. Yeah.
Someone is recommending you to do your own HAPS show.
Okay.
Which is something I encourage.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, so obviously, you know, you have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all this, right? HAPS is interesting for me, at least, being able to multi-stream on different platforms.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what we're seeing here is through HAPS, but what we're broadcasting to is to my Periscope account, to my YouTube account, and if I want to, I can also connect it to my Facebook account. Okay. So you're not missing out on any platform if you. Oh,
what a game changer! Yeah. So who's saying that? Chris is saying that.
Chris.
John, send her a link. Jackie. Oh, Jackie is saying that. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Jackie. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I will send her a link.
That's brilliant.
No problem.
Okay, great.
But hey, this is great.
Okay. Yeah, this was great. Anytime.
The handshake or the hugging or the why is very confusing these days. So I'm just going to stick with handshakes.
Okay.
Onwards and upwards. All right. So guys, thank you for watching. If you're not watching from HAPS and still sticking with Periscope, you need to follow on Twitter, Instagram. It's John M. Ho, because Periscope is closing down. And do try the HAPS platform if you're a broadcaster or a viewer, doesn't matter. But yeah, it's something that we're trying to promote, because after Periscope is gone, then I don't know. Yeah, you guys need to find me from somewhere else. Yeah,
the times they are changing.
Yippee! Hi from the east. I'm from the east. Adios, amigos. Okay, thank you, and I'll see you around soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye bye. Okay.